They're saying that the smear campaign is still going on.
Blake Lively's legal battle with Justin Baldoni erupted into utter chaos, laying bare her manipulative strategies and relentless obsession with control.
So Blake Lively's team keep writing the judge, probably 3 to 4 times a day at this point.
She orchestrated a fake smear campaign, intimidated law firms, and flooded the court with bogus motions, all in a desperate bid to cling to power.
Because as I said, we definitely know they planted stories about Justin Baldoni, for sure.
Seriously, when did Blake Lively go from rom-com darling to a legal wrecking ball with a full-blown god complex? Because in June 2025, she didn't just stumble, she practically threw herself off a cliff. This isn't some misunderstood celebrity moment, it's a full-on courtroom meltdown wrapped in designer heels. Her once flawless image is now buried beneath a mountain of lawsuits, tossed out motions, public backlash, and a level of delusion worthy of an Oscar. She's not fighting for justice, she's fighting for the spotlight. And it couldn't be more obvious.
This is a letter that they wrote. I think this was written yesterday. And they're saying that Justin Baldoni's team is not cooperating with giving them the evidence that they're looking for. They're looking for evidence.
So what sparked this whole disaster? It all began with Blake's petty feud with director Justin Baldoni. You know? The guy she now treats like the archvillain in her personal soap opera. But instead of handling it like a grown adult, Blake escalated it into a full-blown cross-country meltdown. We're talking lawsuits popping up in New York, California, Georgia, you name it. She's filed there. It's as if she spun a globe and thought, where can I stir up chaos today? She's slinging subpoenas like party invites, and the courts, they're beyond exhausted.
And I'm just going to say it from day one. I don't think she's going to go to trial. I don't think she wants to go to trial. I don't think the purpose of this is to go to trial. I think the purpose of this is to damage Baldoni and get back at him as much as she can, to inflict as much pain on him as possible.
Let's not forget Judge Louis J. Lyman, poor guy, has probably aged 5 years. Just reading her garbage motions, and just this June, he denied her third motion to compel in 1 week. That's right, 3 losses, 7 days. At this point, even her motions are tired of being submitted.
And every time they just asking the judge for new favors. I thought this was quite interesting.
The judge basically called her out for turning the courtroom into a circus act. Her whole legal strategy is less about proving anything and more about screaming, "Look at me, I'm still relevant." Honey, this isn't Gossip Girl, it's federal litigation. But she wasn't done embarrassing herself. Nope, Blake decided to take things up a notch by filing a lawsuit through this shell company, Banzan Inc. And get this, it had no named defendants, none. She literally sued no one who does that. Like, how much do you have to hate someone or be so far gone mentally that you go to court and scream at the void and don't even try to say it's strategy? That's not a legal move, that's a public tantrum in PowerPoint format. It's giving middle school girl who didn't get the lead role in the play, not a grown woman with an actual team of lawyers.
Feels very much like a narcissistic injury where she just can't let go and she needs to blame someone else for her mistake. But all of that to say, I also think that she's abusing the court system.
And through all this mess, one thing becomes clear. Blake Lively isn't some misunderstood genius navigating a tough situation. No, she's just a manipulator who's losing grip and trying to spin the fall as a jump. She's not out here defending herself. She's throwing spaghetti at courtroom walls hoping something sticks. It's not.
Saying that the smear campaign is still going on. So Blake Lively's team was asking for communication going over a much longer period of time than what actually Baldoni's team have been offering them. They're saying that they can give them communications from June 2024 to December 2024.
But it gets even better. Let's talk about the PR mess she created and then tried to blame on everyone else. Ends with us red carpet premiere is happening and everyone suddenly notices. Justin Baldoni is missing, gone, and within days TMZ and The Daily Mail magically publish fat-shaming and inappropriate kiss stories that just happened to make Blake look like a saint, Total coincidence, right?
Said before, who planted that story that Blake Lively was fat shamed? Who was at that meeting knowing about what was going on? That was a meeting that took place in Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds' apartment. And there were very few people there. So, of course, it was someone from Blake Lively's team.
Except, wait, those leaks allegedly came from her own apartment meeting. Yep. Sources say she and her inner circle were the ones feeding this stuff to the press, setting up the exact headlines that would protect her fragile image. But instead of taking responsibility, Blake turned around and accused Baldwin's team of waging a smear campaign. Girl, you're not the victim here. You're the one holding the match and the gasoline.
None of them have given Blake Lively's team what they want so far. I'm thinking that they have everything that they need from Jennifer Abel. They did actually take her phone and everything that was on there, so what they're looking for now.
And you want to know how deep the delusion goes? She even tried to rope Baldwin's lawyer into the conspiracy. Like, imagine being so lost in your own fantasy that you think your opponent's legal rep is running a press war against evidence. No receipts, just vibes and victimhood. Meanwhile, her own PR people were feeding tabloids like it was an all-you-can-spin buffet. It's honestly tragic how far removed she is from reality. Now here's where the whole narrative crashes, Jed Wallace. This guy is a crisis PR strategist. Blake says he orchestrated the smear. It's the only problem, he was hired on August 8th. That's 2 days after the red carpet drama. 2 days after the headlines exploded, and 2 days after Blake's meltdown was already in full swing. So how exactly did he mastermind a PR war that was already over before he joined? He didn't. Which means Blake just made it up. She created a whole conspiracy out of thin air because her ego couldn't handle the fact that her own strategy backfired. And instead of learning from that flop, she just doubled down, dragging people through the mud, blaming lawyers, accusing PR consultants, demanding apologies from people who owe her nothing. It's like she's running the world's saddest press tour for her own downfall. She can't even admit that the failure was hers. Nope, just blames. Anyway, let's move into the legal stunt show she's been running across America. Because you'd think after 1 or 2 court losses, someone might reevaluate. Not Blake, she just goes full speed ahead like a drunk driver at a red light. Her team starts issuing subpoenas across New York, California, Georgia, like a nationwide tour of nonsense. She went after former Wayfarer employees, tried to force private messages out of people who don't even work there anymore and didn't care one bit about breaking privilege laws, attorney-client privilege. Blake doesn't believe in it. Apparently, she wants to see everything because if she can't win with facts, she just drown everyone in paperwork.
Basically saying that the Wayfair parties haven't given them enough. They want more. They want to find this evidence. And as I said so many times before.
But here's the twist. Judge Lyman wasn't buying it. He slammed her for filing in the wrong jurisdiction. Said straight up that she and her legal team knew they were abusing the process to harass people. And honestly, that's exactly what it was. Blake isn't trying to get justice. She's trying to confuse the court. So much that they think the other side is hiding something. It's all about creating noise and chaos. Like, if she can just yell non-compliance loud enough, maybe people will forget that she's the one who lit this dumpster fire in the first place.
The pattern of behavior of people that are just doing this to harass people is to often file a ton of motions, to confuse the judge, to rack up and drive up the costs.
And let's not ignore the Amber Heard vibes here. Blake's whole strategy is cut straight from the same tattered playbook. Weaponize the system, fake the victim narrative, confuse the facts, and hope the public's too distracted to notice the only difference is Amber had a better poker face. Blake looks like she's about to snap every time she loses emotion, which at this point is basically weekly. So yeah, this isn't just a bad legal strategy. This is a woman unraveling in front of the world, a desperate power play wrapped in courtroom drama. And if you think this is the end, no, this was just her opening act. Let's talk about the one thing Blake Lively should have learned by now. Don't waiver receipts unless you've actually read them, because when your entire argument hinges on a timeline and that timeline ends up proving you're full of it, Well, that's not just embarrassing, that's delusional. In her amended complaint, Blake confidently claimed that this big bad smear campaign against her kicked off on August 7th with Jed Wallace's so-called social combat plan. Bold claim, right? Only problem, Jed Wallace wasn't even involved until August 9th. That's 2 days later. 2 whole days after the media had already gone wild with headlines about fat shaming and that infamous kiss that lingered too long.
A lot of reasons and ways she's been misusing the court system, and one of them is through subpoenas. We've already know that she views the subpoena process, in my opinion, by filing that sham lawsuit, Van Zandt Inc., which sued no one about reputational harm that was caused to her.
So let's do the math together, Blake. If the PR guy you're accusing of masterminding your downfall didn't even show up until the fire was already burning, who exactly are you blaming here? Because that timeline doesn't expose Jed Wallace, it exposes you. It proves you manipulated the narrative, played fast and loose with dates, and expected the rest of us to just nod along. Well, we're not, because this isn't the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. It's a courtroom, not a fan club. And speaking of that social combat plan, Blake's legal team waved it around like it was some kind of weaponized conspiracy. But when you look at the actual proposal, it's a $30 a month service package from Street Relations, designed to help brands respond to negative comments online. That's it. No smear campaigns, no Reddit troll armies, just basic social media crisis management. You know, the kind every influencer with a messy past already has on retainer. It's not an attack strategy. It's digital customer service with a facelift. And yet, Blake still dragged quote 1 into the drama. Quote 1 was the expensive option, $175. 0 calls for a 3-to-4-month blitz involving Reddit threads, full social monitoring, and aggressive fan engagement. Okay. And let's be clear, she didn't even buy it. That plan was pitched, considered, and rejected. It never happened, but here she is pointing to a proposal that was never executed and crying conspiracy. It's like someone reading a restaurant menu and claiming food poisoning because the shrimp could have been bad. Girl, you didn't even order the shrimp, sit down. But of course, she couldn't resist the urge to leak just enough selective emails to make it look like something nefarious was happening. Her team painted the picture of a dark, coordinated plot against her. But when you zoom out, the dates don't line up, the language doesn't threaten her, and the money trail stops before anything even begins. It's like watching someone try to prove a bank robbery by pointing to a shopping list. There's no there, just her manipulating facts to serve whatever story she's spinning that week. And let's just say it, her lawyers are banking on the public being too distracted or too dumb to notice, but we noticed. And the only person left buying Blake's fantasy is Blake herself. Now, let's get to the real reason this entire mess exists. It's not justice, it's not trauma, and it's definitely not about ethics. It's control. Multiple insiders have confirmed what everyone suspected from day one. Blake didn't just want a star, and it ends with us. She wanted to run it. She wanted full creative control from casting to lighting, and she was already scheming to direct the sequel. This wasn't a passion project. It was a power grab disguised as art. The tipping point: Justin Baldoni refusing to hand over dailies the raw, uncut footage from filming. That's when the real conflict exploded. Blake wanted those dailies because they gave her leverage, creative input, the ability to review, control, manipulate. And when Justin said no, suddenly she had grievances. Suddenly there were accusations. Suddenly the entire set was toxic. But let's be real. Sony may have supported her casting, but they didn't control the IP way Farrah did, and that meant she was out of luck. No matter how much she kicked, screamed, or sued, she wasn't getting control of the franchise. So what did she do instead? Tried to force it. Used the courts, used the press, used emotional manipulation to position herself as the victim of a system that wouldn't let her sit in the director's chair.
No smear campaign. So Ryan and Blake are still alleging a coordinated defamation campaign against them involving planting negative stories in the press. So they want the Wayfair to show their communications with different journalists.